Welcome to Koffee Talks with Dan Norton and David Person.
Dan, I don't know exactly what day it is from the standpoint of when we record, when you put a recording up. I'm always seem to be like a day or two off, and that's fine. You let our audience know that I'm pretty much clueless when it comes to everything, including the hobby. But in my home right now, Daniel Norton, it is the first Saturday in May. And the amazing part about the first Saturday in May, because I don't know when this video comes out, maybe it'll come out the first Sunday in May if we're lucky at all, is known to be the wonderful spectrum of the Kentucky Derby, the greatest horse race in all of the world. And I just watched it, okay? And I watched an amazing, messy track with rain coming down, when the trainers have to react and everything, when the jockeys have on their faces, on their heads, an average of 6 different pair of goggles that as they're running through the mud, they have to peel one off after the other to just kind of drop it around their neck and get the next one while they're racing at, this huge fast pace because there's so much mud coming in their faces. And I watched an incredible race where Sovereignty ran down the favorite Journalism. What names? They come up with this stuff? Sovereignty and Journalism? What happened to like Chad and Hector? And it was the most, I can't tell you guys. If you guys don't understand, I bring the whole family in for the Kentucky Derby every year. I don't care what they're doing. If they're not in the house watching it, they will be immediately dropped out of my will. So Stephen Kassoon, I think you know what that means. I will say that the adrenaline rush of watching the finish of that race is very much akin to having a base box of Pokemon First Edition and pulling a Charizard from it in your hands. Not quite there, but it's very close, okay? Dan, did you happen to catch the Kentucky Derby today?
No. The 2 horse names you went with were Chad and Hector. That's what you think horses are called.
Chad, I don't see why Hector. They wouldn't be. Why should they be Puppy Chow and Marmalade? I don't know where they come up with a name. Sovereignty and Journalism. My dog ate my homework. Where do the people come up with the names? Just give it. You think the horse wants to be called My Dog Ate My Homework? I just don't understand it, okay?
I think the horse doesn't want to race. I think the horse wants to sit in a field eating hay.
Well, you know what? Here's the good news. When you win the Kentucky Derby and you then get to produce later on, a year or two later, you get to go out to stud and you get to breed and you get to have all these other little horses. They get to be in the fields for a long time and their owners get millions and trillions and zillions of breeding dollars. So We'll see. Dan, today, let's not talk at all. Let's just sit here and ponder what it would be like if we could be in a field of roses, munching on the grass. But let's not do that, because why would anybody watch except for the one fan we have that's completely maniacal? Dan, you talk today. I'm just going to sit here quietly and listen to you talk about everything that's on your mind.
Yeah, there was one comment a couple of videos ago that I just needed to address. So this was put on the video that I did about the magazine, where I just looked at the magazine. It wasn't a Koffee Talks video. But someone mentioned about the fact that I talk about when I'm promoting videos and how my subscriber count is growing from promoting videos. And their comment basically said, it doesn't count because they're not real subscribers. You're just paying for subscribers, and YouTube is not going to promote your content if you're paying for subscribers, and you might as well just delete your channel and start over. So I want to clarify some stuff, because I think this person was coming at it from completely misunderstanding what I've been saying, and there's a chance other people have the same misconception. They appear to be under the impression that when I talk about promoting videos, I'm using those like random shady Instagram people where they're like, oh, DM me and pay me this amount of money and I'll guarantee you this amount of subscribers or this amount of views. You pay per the subscriber or whatever. And those are all bots. If you pay those people, it's bots. That's genuinely what it is. They have hundreds and hundreds of phones. They have factories somewhere that just run through and all subscribe to you, and then probably years later, when all the accounts get deleted for being bots, you lose them again. What I'm doing is not that. When I'm talking about promoting videos, there is a function within YouTube. It's built into YouTube. It's part of YouTube. It's part of Google's whole advertising system, where you can pay to promote your videos. You pay YouTube and Google directly. So saying that me doing this is going to make YouTube not want to work with me is fully incorrect, because this is part of YouTube. this is a function that they have. And when I'm paying YouTube, I'm not paying by subscriber. You don't say, I'm going to pay you this amount of money to get me this many subscribers. What you do is you say, I'm going to pay you this amount of money to show my video in, the recommendeds or on the homepage to X amount of people. The views are still people clicking on the video. People still have to choose to click on the video. The people who are subscribing still have to choose to subscribe to the channel after clicking on the video. So it's not a case of, I pay YouTube and then they just add 1,000 subscribers to my account. It's that they put it in front of more people. It's giving more people the opportunity to click on my video, to know that my video exists. It's no different, in my opinion, to, putting out a TV advert. Like if, say, a film is coming out, you put out a film trailer so that people are aware of the film. People seeing that trailer, that's not them paying to artificially boost, the theater numbers or the whatever it's called, the ticket sales or anything like that. That's making more people aware of the fact that it exists. And that's what the promotions that I'm using are doing. It's making more people aware that my videos exist. And I will say, like, the last promotion I did, the one that's running at the moment, that if it shows you how many people it's been shown to, how many people clicked at the video, how many people subscribed from that. Because obviously YouTube kind of knows what users are going to subscribe to stuff, so it can tailor it to the people who they think will subscribe to your channel because they subscribe to similar content. But currently it's on something like, it's been shown to 750,000 people. So 750,000 times it's shown up in someone's recommended feed or in the sidebar next to a video that they're watching. And of that, I think it's got 8,000 or 9,000 people watch the video. And of those 8,000 or 9,000, about, I think, 1,500 subscribed. So the reason you're getting these big boosts of numbers is just from the sheer amount of people that are being given the opportunity to watch your video. And it's a reason why I really tailor pick which videos I'm promoting, because it's videos with more interesting titles, more interesting thumbnails. Those are the videos I'm going to promote, because those are the videos that people are going to click if they see it in their sidebar. Like a lot of these things that we do, like our Coffee Talks, Coffee Talks is getting more and more views all the time. We're doing well. My news videos and stuff are doing well. Like the one I had this week was way higher than previous ones. But those are more, people will watch them after they know a bit more about me or a bit more about us, and they kind of know the context behind it. Whereas some other videos with the interesting titles, that's the ones you want to put out for people to click on if, they have no context behind who you are. It's just an interesting looking Pokemon video to them. So I just wanted to get the clarification out on that first, mainly that I'm not just doing I'm paying for subscribers. The subscribers that I've got, yes, I've used advertising to get them. Everyone uses advertising to get them one way or another. But they're certainly not bot accounts. They are very much real people who have decided to watch the video, decided to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, they might watch that one video and subscribe to the channel, and a lot of them might never watch another video of mine. That happens. I know I'm subscribed to channels on YouTube where I haven't watched their stuff in ages, but it's either I used to watch them a lot, or I subscribe and say I'm going to go back to them later and watch some more and haven't had the chance yet. But I'm not botting views. I'm not botting subscribers.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack about everything you said, Dan. So why don't we just walk through just a little bit of it? So I get all the time with my Instagrams, I get the offer from folks to try to increase my number of followers. And that's exactly what you're talking about. I never know exactly what it's about. If it's about bots or whatever, that's what it's about. And I keep, talking to you guys about how right now I'm at that number, 8,500. I will not exceed that number. Every time it goes above 85, it goes down a few things, and that's where it sits no matter what I post. So I could bite the bullet and try to say I'm going to increase that number arbitrarily, but I like to do it the hard old fashioned way and see if I can keep growing it of my own organic way. And so I keep doing it. I don't buy into the bots. I don't buy into anything else. Okay. So now in my formats of Instagram, there's also this thing of reels. there is promoting of posts or promoting of reels. That would be more akin to what Dan is talking about. He's talking about someone where they're going to show it to more people, and they're going to hope that those people fit the demographic that's actually a part of what you're watching. We know the demographic in Pokemon. It's a 28 to 32-year-old male, and that no disrespect to the gals that are watching, but that's what it is. And so it'll go out on those feeds and try to increase. Should I want to additionally pay money to do that and see if I can increase my followers accordingly? Now, of course, you guys know that because this whole situation with what Dan is talking about, Coffee Talks and Dan's Fortnite discussions and everything is all about Dan making money. I'm not willing to spend the money. I don't have it. Dan has the money. He has the ability to take those financial resources. And the guy still hasn't bought me a mic. Okay. So with that all respect, now we'll go to part 3 of this whole thing. Is it okay to do what Dan is doing? Absolutely. Why not? Why shouldn't we use all the tools at our disposal, regardless of what they are, to make our success in the hobby more and more potentially great? Okay. And that's all that's happening, is showing more people, increasing more. And if the momentum is there for what Dan is doing, we move from 2,500 to 10,000 plus, and there's a bit of it that's on promoting, that's exactly what it's there for. More power to you, more power to the strategic ability to take advantage of that. There's a lot of people that wouldn't take the risk and pay the dollars to do that. It's 100% clear which videos you've done that for, because you can see the numbers alone. You know, the numbers are 200, 250, 300 views on something versus 1,000 or 800 or 400 or whatever. You can start to, specifically segregate which ones have been higher promoted, and there's a reason, and they've done well. The last thing I'll say about this before you come back in, Dan, is the commenter, I think it was Sarah, and she had good reason. She said, hey, I'm just trying to give you my information about all this. But the only thing I would say to people is when they do that is before you come out, because we live in a world where everybody has opinions, and that's fine. It's not going to change. There's people today, it is so much easier to promote your opinion, regardless of how controversial it is, because nobody cares. There is no penalty if it's wrong. There's no punishment if it's right. There's nothing. You can say whatever you want these days, and no one cares. So the only thing I would say, as far as if I was talking to Sarah, I would say I would have preferred you ask Dan a question or so. Hey, Dan, are you aware that the fact that these won't be real followers and they won't be with you and they won't help your numbers? Or are you doing it this way, to try to ascertain what was going on, rather than immediately categorize Dan as doing things that were ridiculous and that they were all going to result in bots, or the numbers weren't real, or the views wouldn't be real, and ultimately the success of his channel and all the rest of it would be what he was doing would be detrimental to it. I think that you can end up putting your foot in your mouth a little bit if you don't ask the questions first to make sure that you are completely aware of what's going on. I do appreciate the way that Sarah was toning her comments, and she was just saying, hey, I'm really trying to help you with this information. I'm still a subscriber, and I think we appreciate that. And and I appreciate that you comment on it, Dan, because a lot of people would say, hey, it's going to get in the way, and maybe it's a little too negative for me, whatever. But you just try to set the record straight, and I know with me, you're always doing that. Although mine is more related to the Pokemon that I do or don't know anything about.
Yeah, I don't think the comment was coming from a bad place. I just think it was coming from a place of misinformation or misunderstanding of what I was doing when I talk about promoting videos. And if this comment has had that misconception, perhaps other people will as well. So I want to set the record straight on that. The other thing from the comment that needs addressing, Stephen Kassoon is not an alt account of mine that I'm using to boost up comment numbers. Stephen is just a fan of the podcast. I didn't know Stephen at all until we started doing Coffee Talks the first time. I think that's when he really started watching and commenting on our stuff. Stephen likes to comment in real time as he's watching the videos. Like, that's on him. In terms of boosting engagement in the algorithm, I think the algorithm and stuff cares more about unique commenters than total number of comments, so I don't actually think it makes much of a difference, if Stephen left one super long comment or left his usual 10, 12 small comments as he's watching the video. I don't think that would affect things in any way. So I certainly haven't asked Stephen to comment in that way. Obviously, in videos, we say, hey, guys, we'd like you to comment. That's what people do. The whole, hey, like, comment, and subscribe thing is basically like a joke, a thing of like, oh, that's how YouTubers are. You've got to ask people to like, comment, and subscribe. You've got to ask people to rate your stuff. That's just the way the world works in individually produced media. You know, I mean, we had, and not even individually produced. When you look at like big movies and stuff, you have people who will pay, not just pay for the advertising campaigns, they will pay people to be leaving reviews on, you know, like Rotten Tomatoes or on other sites. Like,
Oh, rotten. Don't tomatoes. You're so ridiculous at this point. It's Rotten Tomatoes, okay? Take your tomatoes and take a flight back to the UK. Anyways, Rotten Tomatoes, continue.
they will pay people to be leaving reviews online, and often it is, even if they don't always say you have to leave a 5-star review, it's like actually go and review it, because just having more numbers on the reviews is good for them, more different people interacting with it. So it's just a thing. This is just how it's just advertisement. I say probably everyone you watch in the Pokemon space, if they have a decent number of subscribers or a decent number of viewers or a decent number of followers, is spending money on promotion. I'm just being open about it. Maybe they're not directly spending the money through YouTube. Maybe they're spending it through Instagram to send people to the YouTube channel, or maybe they're paying a bigger YouTuber or a bigger influencer to share their video. You know, like we saw, when Rusty was on our podcast at that time, and Rusty shared the video that he was in, and there was a time Rusty shared one of my my videos in the English Versus series. I saw a decent boost in subscriber numbers those couple of days because Rusty has a much bigger following than me. Obviously, I didn't pay him to do that, but it's just the fact that someone bigger than you sharing your stuff to a bigger audience can boost your numbers. So there will be people, I'm not saying Rusty takes money to do this, but there are people who will take money for that, or there's some amount, a lot of it in this collecting YouTube space, a lot of you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, you know, like I've got the big Instagram following, and you've got the big YouTube following, so if I put one of your YouTube videos on my Instagram, you're going to do a video shouting out my Instagram, and I'll get your followers over to me and we'll get my followers over to you. That's why there is a lot of, when we talk about the drama channels are those one and done things of the videos where, you know, it's a specific incident, it's one person, they target people who aren't big in collecting, they're not mainstays in this space. There is also a lot of, all of these drama channels know the shady stuff that a lot of other people are doing behind the scenes, but they won't talk about that because they have to toe the line, because people don't want to be ostracized from that. Basically, the Freemasons is what it is. We're all secret handshakes and everyone does each other favors and no one talks bad about anyone. Yeah, so
Dan, do I have any of that? Do we have any of that, Dan? Are we like, you've never introduced me to any of the secret handshakes, the crawls, the skulls, anything underneath the surface. So number one, just the fact that you brought that up, I may leave the podcasting industry immediately if you don't start infiltrating me into your organization.
No,
number two is
we don't have that, because we're willing to call people out. We're willing to call out some of the people for stuff that they've done. Go and watch the old Coffee Talks. There's about a 3-hour video on there that has a lot of views with no promotion, naturally.
All right, cool. And yeah, when you talk about Steven or whatever, as far as enjoying watching the podcast, it is so the nice part is, we all know, you guys don't know Steven and what he is. He basically roams from foreign country to foreign country, often found in the Amazon forest. He's very reflective. He sits with his yogi and they ponder life and all that stuff. And he sent me that wonderful, ritualistic elephant that I can pray on every morning and hope I just at least wake up. You can't pray on it unless you do wake up, but I pray that maybe the night before I do wake up. So, but you don't get additional views from additional comments. You get them from additional commenters. We don't have a lot of comments on our videos, and that's fine. I think what happens, honestly, is I think most of you feel that Dan is the one that should only be doing the talking. He thinks he knows everything. He says he knows everything. He acts like he knows everything. Most of the stuff he knows, some of the stuff he doesn't know. Occasionally he's wrong, and some of the times he's right. But you guys can still comment, and like in this video right now, wouldn't it be nice if all of you that are watching if it's not promoted, maybe like the 6 of you that are watching, and if it is promoted, the 167 that are watching, if you guys could put a comment in that just say, Dan, we still love you, Dan. Like, even though we're happy for you at 10,000, Dan, even if 1,500 came from promotions, we still love you, Dan. That's important, okay? Because sometimes someone just, like as a child, my dad didn't give me a lot of pats on the back. And so there's days today that I look at my kids and I say, I wish I could be better than my dad, but I can't. You guys don't deserve those pats. So Dan deserves those pats. Let's give Dan a pat and let's just say, come on, buddy, you stick to what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, one of the other rants I kind of want to have there, just a bit of a complaint about something.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're going to do another rant right now?
I was going to segue.
Yeah, okay, if you're going to do another one, wait, I can't hear anything you're saying right now, so let me just stop. Let me take a deep breath, and I'm ready for what's coming next. Just one sec.
All right.
Okay, Dan, you lay it on me, buddy. I'm ready.
Well, the next one is related to Instagram and how some of those accounts are run. But tying back into what I was just saying about people paying for promotion and stuff, I'm not going to say which account this was because, this happens. This is a big Pokemon collector's account. It's not the name of a company, it's the name of a collector. So, like, if we went on your account, we know that's your account. That's not a company that you're running. And it was they posted about a card that was in their collection, and there was some incorrect information in the description. So I just commented on it saying, oh, hey, just, like, this date is a bit wrong. And it was like 2 days later, I got a reply from the account, and it said something like, oh, sorry, this was a mistake in editing, and then a little dash to say account manager to show that it was the account manager replying to my stuff. So there are a lot of people out there who have their face on stuff. Like YouTube, it's harder to do because, people are in the videos, but Instagram accounts, there's a lot of people put their face on their Instagram account and then are never there. They'll take photos of stuff in their collection, they send that over to their account manager. There are people who are paying people full-time wages to run their social media for them. Like, that is another level of advertising. So you could be liking, commenting, or even messaging them, and there's a good chance you'll get messages back from these people, and it's not these people. It's one of their account managers who's just running their account. They're just the face. They're just the face of it, but it's presenting as though it's a personal page as opposed to what it actually is, which is a business that's run by people.
Dan, can we do that? Is this a mistake? Are you trying to tell me, kind of under the handed, and I'm supposed to read through the lines here, that I should be paying you as an account manager a fair wage to run my account? Because Dan, a couple things there. Number one, I would love for you to do that. Number two, a fair wage for you is a little less than other people because you're not actually making a fair wage right now. So maybe able to collaborate with a win-win on that. And, when you're getting like $70 every month and I give you another like 25 to do this for me every single day, that seems fair. And then you'd be able to respond to people when they respond to the Instagram post because you know all the information. I'm not able to be helpful. And so, Dan, tell me, are we talking about a business opportunity here that we've never discussed in detail so I can finally get above that 8,500 number and stay there and not drop back 10 every single day? And Dan, after you answer that part of the question, could you answer the next part of the question? I must have napped right before this podcast because my mouth is really going quickly, even at 1 times right now. But Dan, could you tell people after this, is there anything wrong with that? Are you trying to intimate, imply, indicate that there is something wrong with somebody having a manager manage their IG platform? Or are you just trying to, lay the record straight?
So first of all that would do is cost you $25 a month for something I end up having to do anyway, because anytime someone messages you or comments something that you don't know the answer to, what you do is screenshot it and then just send me the screenshot and say, and go and respond to this. Or if it's a message, say, how do I respond to this person? So I'm basically doing all that bit anyway. In terms of doing the actual posting, I'm not that good at it for what I'm doing for mine and for Koffee Talks, really. So, and with my $70 a month that I might be getting in advertising revenue, that doesn't even cover the cost of what I pay to promote the videos, never mind paying a person to run our Instagram account full time.
That's true.
Yeah, second part, there is nothing wrong with that. I think it's a little bit smoke and mirrors behind presenting something as a person when it's actually a business. But I was just trying to bring to the idea of that's another form of advertising. That's another way that people are paying to promote their product. They're paying these people to do this advertising for them, which is all I'm doing with YouTube. I'm just being open about it, is all it really is. But if I respond, okay.
There has been times in the past, just so you know, it's interesting when you bring this up. So I will not name names, especially because you never know what's still going to come out there in the future. But there has been times when large scale influencers, folks with a lot of money and a lot of subscribers, have reached out to me to buy something from me in one of my posts or collections or whatever. And as time went on and I tried to communicate with those folks about that potential buy, I realized I was not speaking to the person themselves. I was actually speaking to one of their managers. And for me, I didn't like it. I actually didn't like it. So I didn't sell the cards to them. Was that silly? Was that stupid? Might have been. That's just me as a human being. I chose to say, if you're too big to reach out to me yourself personally and say, I'm interested in this card, and you let your manager do it, I wasn't interested in selling them. So again, if that doesn't mean someone else has to do that, but I'm from the world where, and it's different. My dad used to build a building or whatever, and then the inspector would come from the city and they would take a look at the plans and the blueprints and see if it was built according to the current rules and regulations. And they would be standing at a trunk of a car. And my dad would hand him a bottle of wine and something. Hey, you know what? That's almost coming back these days with the current administration, as opposed to what you actually should do in following things. So it doesn't matter. You can have your way of doing it. One way is right for one person, one way is wrong for another person. It just, for me, I understand. I still like the personal route of dealing with people and enjoying the hobby for the personal interactions that it brings.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that when you're selling something, especially if it's I get when you're like bulk selling a load of stuff, you don't really care. But if you're selling something that's a bit of a rarer item, something a bit more special, you like to know it's going to someone who's going to put it in their personal collection and actually appreciate it for what it is, not just post it on social media, get a load of views, and then sell it again. And if someone is not even willing to talk to you personally, they're probably not that person. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with these bigger people having their manager reach out first. Like, I think if you got a message saying like, "Hey, I represent this person. They were potentially interested in buying this card from you. Is that something you might be willing to do? If it's something you're willing to talk about, I'll put you in touch with them." Like, that's fine, because that person, they probably don't have the time to reach out to every account themselves, but they should be open that if it's coming from an account that is like just their name, they should be open that it's not them speaking to you. The manager should be open saying it's the manager, and also saying, we want to if you're interested, we want to put you in contact with this person. It's fine for the manager to get the 9 out of 10 people saying, no, I'm not interested in selling, but then the one person who is interested in the conversation, should be hooked up with the right person. But the reason I brought up the Instagram stuff is I just want to read a message that I got from an Instagram account recently. It's an Instagram account I follow. I'm not gonna name it. I'll say this is one that is a company account. It's not one saying it's a personal account. I'm gonna read it word for word. I'm just gonna blank out the name of the company. Hey there. We came across your amazing Pokemon collection, and your cards would be perfect for our upcoming auctions at blank. We host regular auctions where collectors showcase their items. We believe your slabs would perform really well. We'd love to feature some of your cards. Let us know if you're interested, and we can share more details. Now, that's rude as hell. It really is. Like, I get people DM me a lot asking if they can buy something from me. Like we just talked about, like you said you have. People will ask if they can buy something. But it is always, 99% of the time, it's I want this one card. Do you have a spare, or are you selling yours? And if I say no, they're pretty good about it. They're pretty respectful. I'll say about 50% of them are My Little Pony, and they're all Google translated from Chinese, because a lot of people in China want My Little Pony cards, and I have some rare ones. This isn't that. For a start, this. I mean, you can tell by the message it's an auction house company. All they're saying is, "Hey, we want to sell your cards for you, so we can take a big commission." No, like, I've never made a post saying I'm trying to sell my cards. There's nothing I've ever posted that's opening up the idea of that I would want someone to come in and sell my cards. I mean, I could sell my own cards pretty well if I wanted to. The ones I want to sell, I can sell when I need to. I don't need an auction house doing it for me. But other than the disrespect of that, of just saying like, not even we'd like to buy your collection for ourselves, or we'd like to saying we'd like to showcase your collection. That's just we want to sell your collection. It's not we want to make it like if someone messaged me and was like, "Hey, I want to make a social media post about your stuff." Cool, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about my collection. Brilliant, but just saying we want to sell your collection for you is rude as hell. The second thing is, it's so obviously a copy and pasted message that went out to hundreds of people because it talks about slabs. Like, I have the amount of slabs I have in my collection, I can hold like that. I barely have any slabs. All my stuff's ungraded. All of my, apart from, I have my trophy, I've talked about it, I have my trophy cards and my sample set I had graded, and then I have some Vaporeons. That's all my graded stuff. I'm not a slab collector. They've very clearly just gone through and gone, oh, we need stuff to sell. Let's just blanket send this message to everyone. Everyone we see with a Pokemon collection, we're just going to send it out to everyone. And if one or two people respond positively, cool, we get our commission off that. It's going to happen. I just want to call it out as being disgusting business practices. Like, if you're gonna message people stuff like this, at the very least put in the basic minimum amount of effort to even look at their collection and look at what you're asking them for.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Dan, that's actually all you've done is you've quoted business. So, let's talk about it for a second. So you're 100% correct. Those are basic blanketing marketing emails. And so there is somebody out there in those companies that is compensated for their ability to generate leads. And for that lead generation, they are blanket emailing anybody in the Pokemon space. And they may be trying to figure out who's got more followers, who's got less followers, or whatever. But when you see that slab stuff, as an example, typically auction houses only want slabs. They don't want anything else. I know some do other stuff, but for the most part, they really want slabs. Makes their life a lot easier unless it's a playtest situation. And so what they're doing is they're presuming that most people that have any kind of Pokemon cards have a bunch of them slabbed, because I would say that's true, that generally speaking, the great majority of folks do. And so that's all it is. I liken that to my sons, who are both lead generators in the technology space, and they are supposed to generate by going through LinkedIn, by going through, whatever else ways they find leads out there, and then trying to cordon down to getting blanket messages out, hoping to get a response and being able to talk to somebody after that. So I get it completely. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's absolutely true. The extra time and effort somebody could have put in to crafting that, and actually, I like when I get a message that says, "Hey, we like what you're doing out there." I get the same messages all the time. And I feel like they actually are looking at my page, and there's a little more in individuality in what they put out there. That makes a huge difference in my willingness to respond or not. So as opposed to every other day, I get something from China or whatever that says, we can produce all these supplies for you. We do this, this, and this. Just let us know immediately. These messages are going out to everyone. So, it is business. It is marketing. It is efficiencies of time and scale. And you have a lot of, unfortunately, I'm not trying to put down millennial folks, but, I will say younger workers, let me say that, who haven't had the experience to understand that extra time and effort you put in to customize, to call, to get a hold of somebody, to understand what they're doing, that would put you a lot further forth in the proximity of success you might have in getting somebody to actually say yes to giving their merchandise to you or something. So,
I mean, I'm going to take an even more cynical route on it.
surprise.
I think it's more that the people who would respond better to something personalized aren't the ones they want. They want to capture the people who aren't thinking it through, who are just seeing the message, taking it quickly at face value, and not realizing it's a blanket email. They want the people who aren't thinking critically about it, because they can then manipulate people there. And I'm not talking specifically about this company. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's ambulance chasing is what it is. It's the cold calls of have you been in a car accident? It's that kind of stuff. You don't want to find the person who is thinking it through. You want to find the person who is just going to go along willingly with whatever you say. And the blankets email, in addition to letting you spam way more people in a shorter space of time, is going to actually be better at weeding out the people that they don't want, which is a horrible, horrible place that the world is in. But that's the way that is as well, and I hate it.
What a remarkable diatribe, Dan. You know what? Talk about coming full circle in the span of another one of our videos, our podcast, where we've discussed absolutely nothing. I love it. The audience loves it. Everyone loves it. But let's end on this from my standpoint. Cynicism. Dan Norton of the Columbus, Ohio Nortons says, I am going to take it a little more cynically. Well, guess what? You know who did that? Sarah. Sarah did that in her comments that you addressed earlier about how you promoted videos. So you came full circle. You came full circle in your cynicism, which was respectfully towards her cynicism and the whole concept that people have cynicism. And there's nothing wrong with cynicism unless you don't like cynicism, because if you don't like cynicism, there's a lot wrong with cynicism. And I wonder if you should stop being cynical if you don't want other people to be cynical of you. Now, Dan, I'm not giving you that question directly. I'm talking to our audience, because the cynicism all of you bring to this podcast is beginning to weigh on me. It's weighing on me. So put it away, take it away, get rid of it, or bring it back, whatever you need to. If you want to bring it back, take it away for a bit, then bring it back slowly so Dan and I can get used to it. But Dan, maybe now you have a little empathetic cynicism for Sarah and her comments, since you chose to bring the same cynical viewpoints to your diatribe on mass mailing marketing from auction companies into the hobby. Do you acknowledge what I said, Dan Norton of the Columbus, Ohio Nortons?
No, just because I always disagree with you, I'm going to disagree with you. Sarah's cynicism and comment, I think, as I talked about at the start, I think it was based on incorrect information and incorrect assumptions. I wasn't saying that Sarah shouldn't have commented. I was just correcting the information. Whereas I think what I said is, I've worked short amounts of time in places, so it's a horrible, horrible industry, the cold calling industry. I've never wanted to stay long. Customer service is the absolute worst. When customer service where you're multiple jobs I've had, customer service where you're not marked on how well you help the customer. People who don't know this, I worked in customer service for a while. Customer service people are not graded on how well they help the customer. They're graded on how quickly they get you off the phone. That's it. That's the only metric they cared about, was how quickly the phone call ended.
Yeah, and when it comes, which is so true, absolutely true. It's never been any different, and it's really unfortunate commentary on people taking care of other people. But I will say, and I know Steven's not going to like this. I don't really care. Okay, you can dish it out, you can take it, Steven Kassoon. Okay, here's the deal. I'd rather have Sarah's comments any day than Steven Kassoon's, and I said it, buddy. So you can go climb your Amazon tree. No, we love you. Don't worry about it. Just keep commenting, because I know good friends are hard to come by, and we're all really close in this whole hobby relationship thing we do.
Yeah. Well,
can I go, Dan? I think there's a nice hot rib dinner waiting for me on the other side of Vegas.
Yeah, I probably need to go eat as well. All right. Well, yeah, this was just a bit of a rant about some stuff about social media and stuff and how I hate everything. All right, well, we will probably be back tomorrow with another Coffee Talks, I think. Don't see a reason for us not to be recording tomorrow. So, yeah, we will see you then. Hopefully it'll be more directly Pokemon related and not as depressing as this one. See you guys tomorrow.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Coffee Talks with Dan Norton and David Person, with music by More Than Never and artwork by Lore Norton. A special thanks to all our Patreon members. Join us again next time.
But they don't want you to.